What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. This is episode number 485. My name is Steve. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show. And as always, I'm joined by...
Ron.
And John.
How's it going, fellas?
Pretty good.
Yeah? You all right, Ronald?
I'm okay when I
He's
can
okay.
hear. Yeah.
Well, I was about to say, what?
I was like,
Let's all.
should I
Let's
wave
do,
my hand so you know I'm talking to you? No, like you can hear, right?
let's do a
Yeah.
five senses check-in right now to see how everybody's senses are doing.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
You might have taken the fact that I said my name and not a bunch of fussing around
Yeah, I
with a
didn't.
quote.
You didn't hear a quote afterwards. If you put that together,
There's a little clue. We have kicked required viewing to the following week, which is what we've only done this 2 or 3 times, I think. And I think it's usually Ronald's fault for some reason. I'm not sure why I
Always.
think that.
Always. It's always my fault.
No, but honestly, we were watching a movie that even when you said you'd picked it, I set it up saying, "Oh yeah, this is very audio focused, and you might
right?
even want to listen to it on headphones." But our friend Ronald right now has an ear infection, and the thing is, Ronald, you wouldn't even know for sure if what you were hearing, the way the movie's sound is, you wouldn't know for sure if what you were hearing was what the movie wanted you to hear,
Right.
or what you would hear with an ear infection. So it's good to. Yeah, it's good to maybe give yourself a little time to bounce back to normal. So we
Yeah.
kicked we kicked Undertone to next week on the show.
I
Hopefully you'll. I
appreciate
mean,
that.
gosh, if you're not better by then, well, I don't know what
Yeah.
we're gonna
I'm
do.
gonna sue the whole goddamn system.
Sue the makers of Undertone.
Yeah. And the weird part is like I've been hearing these like phantom sounds. It's like because you're so used to a certain amount of talking, like my daughter will just come up to me and
Right.
start talking. You know how kids are. They won't even like
Yeah, they're always talking,
acknowledge. They're always talking.
Oh, this talk.
You know, let's talk.
like walking up to me, talking. Ugh.
Talking, fucking trying to play games. And so I sometimes I'll think that she's right next to me and I'm like, oh, nobody's there. Like shit. Like this is it's like your anxiety creates this anticipation for more sounds to be to happen.
Yeah.
But it sounds like I
Right,
have
right.
noise canceling headphones on right now. Like if I take these off, it sounds like I have noise canceling headphones on, which is sucky.
Sake.
Sucky.
Um. Yeah. Well, I mean, which is what the movie sounds like too. So it's very. It must have been very strange to. In any case, I know what you mean about this sort of
Yeah.
like reverse hallucination almost of like you're used to not hearing things that are right there, and so it makes you jumpy to think that there could be something right there that you're not hearing. So
Yes. Ain't that a bitch?
I guess it is.
Ain't
Guess
that
it is. So yeah, we're gonna fill the time that would have been spent on required viewing with some other topics, just some maybe some movie news and some trailers that have come out recently, and then we're gonna get on to the sort of the feature of this episode, which is Ronald got to see Michael, the new Michael Jackson biopic, and then after that, I think Steve, you have more to say than I. As far as other things you've seen, because you've
Okay.
been to the theater to see some films, but I might mention a couple things I've watched, but I have not made it to the theater. So I was going to maybe fit in a screening of Lee Cronin's The Monk. I was going to call it The
The
Monkey,
monkey.
the Mummy today. But when I thought no one else had seen that, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. And then when I found out we weren't doing required viewing, I was like, well, heck, I may as well have seen that, and then we each would have had
Right.
something new that no one else had seen. But no, I like this idea of hitting some trailers and some news because some interesting things have come out. I just will start off with a little bit of news since this is a follow up of something we talked about last time. We were talking about the what's the name of Disney's new whatever vision? Is it
Infinity Vision.
Infinity Vision? We talked about that last time, and I don't think we had much hard information at all about what the thing was.
Right, right.
I think it's become a little bit clearer since then what the thing's going to be. It sounds very much like they're going to be like retrofitting existing theaters just as some specifications, but that it's not going to be like a whole new, not definitely not a new format, and maybe not even new facilities.
Yeah.
So that whole speculation about whether studios could run theaters was maybe an interesting tangent, but not really relevant to this.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, since then, Disney has also announced, or related to the same, this is all around the release of Doomsday, they've announced that not only is Endgame coming back to theaters, with some kind of different footage mixed in, but that it's going to be new footage critical to setting up Doomsday. And I find that to be there's part of me that
Doctor Strange.
No, Endgame.
Endgame.
No. You find it Doctor Strange.
Oh, I find it. Yes, I doctor find it Doctor Strange. But like part of me goes, "Oh, cool, added value. You're gonna go into the theater and see that. Maybe if it were like some stuff that happens after the credits roll or something, I'm more down with it. But the idea of sort of there's, I guess, a dual concern of mine. One is I don't like the idea of them retconning anything in Endgame, and also I don't like the idea of them like going back and changing. It's not just that I don't want them to retcon that movie, but I don't like the idea that they're like sort of changing their own history around this new thing. It feels like the not that Endgame is some sacred classic, but it feels like a weird thing to leverage against the way people feel about Endgame. It's a weird thing to leverage that hard. It's one thing to re-release it and say there'll be a bonus preview of scene at the end, but to say that it's going to have new footage in it that's critical to understanding Doomsday, it's like
they said that.
Yeah. Or that's critical to setting up the events of Doomsday. But you know how they say shit all the time that it's like marketing speak, but it's not really. It's like people run with it. But like, I don't want them to. I don't want them to have like Doctor Doom lurking around in Endgame, going like, "Aha, it was me all along," or any of that shit. So I guess I just don't know what it means. And I guess since we don't know what it means, it's kind of a silly topic. But I was wondering what you guys think of that. Like, how does that make you feel to think that it's not just that they're re-releasing Endgame in this new screening format or whatever? It's that it's also going to be like a special edition of Endgame that. I don't know. Are they saying this is the new version? It's like that's just a weird thing to play with. Endgame is like the last thing they did that a lot of people agree was some kind of monumental achievement, right? So it's a little bit weird to play with that.
We've had this happen before. I mean, we've had this happen in our lifetimes with Star Wars.
For sure, with Star Wars.
This. So we have proof that this can be a strange thing that could affect the way that a film comes across. Like, do I need to say adding extra animals to movies and Boba Fett digitized and this like very critical things in the experience of somebody's movie watching experience. Like, and what winds up happening is you wind up feeling crazy because you may have John, you saw the movie, any of the Star Wars in the theaters? Any of the original
ones? Yeah.
Right.
All
so imagine if I told you that we're going to go see, a restoration of the original print and you hadn't seen like any of the Disney Plus versions. And you go watch the movie and there's 10 minutes that your eyes have never seen in your life. And they didn't warn you. And you're like, am I going fucking crazy? Like, is something wrong with my brain? Am I like, you know what I mean? Like, you feel like you're having like a seizure or something like that. It's like, I don't think that should be the play. I don't think that should ever be the play. It's like, I don't know why the cameras move around so much, but
I think those hand motions are very like
the hand motions are very sensitive. It's like, I hate to, call summons a name like this, but Kanye West had this album called Yeezus and a couple other ones. There was one version. You'd listen a week later, and then it'd be changed, and then you listen again, and it'd be different. And then there was a point where they started marking on the internet like versions. This is a 1.5 version. He doesn't have this ending at the end. This whole bridges that don't exist in the music anymore. Whole singers that don't exist. Rappers are appearing in it. Singers are appearing in it. And and this is why physical media matters. I know this feels like I'm trying to sell people on physical media, but I think that the things you love, you should have versions of them.
But it's all right. It's good to sell people on that idea.
Yeah, I mean, like that. I'm not saying buy a physical version of everything that you've ever wanted to watch ever, but the things you covet, buy a version that you like because they are going to change. It's guaranteed. They act like this was like a foreign idea before. And when they'd ask the companies about that, they'd scoff. They'd be like, "This is we never changed the original version of a thing. This one, why the hell would we do that?" Until you need to, and something like this happens. Like, what if the version that we know disappears from Disney Plus, and then it's replaced by this version, and then we never know. And if you don't have a physical copy, or maybe an Apple TV version or something like that, you don't know what that version looks like anymore, and then you only remember this version. It's a crazy idea, but
Yeah,
right.
no. I mean, it's weird because it's none of that really like matters in the grand scheme of things. But everything you just said is exactly what I was talking about, which is like, is there going to be some kind of are you not just creating an unnecessary layer of discourse about, well, I don't watch this version, I watch this version.
Right.
Well, and also, like I said, it could be that none of these concerns matter, and that what really is going to happen is the regular movie that everyone saw, and then after the credits, there's a 15-minute like short or something that sets something up. That won't bother me as much, especially if that short is then released online for everyone to watch or something like that. But
That
the
would be
idea
cool.
of, I think, I think that it's that verbiage, it's that critical to understanding. I think they say things. I don't know if you've noticed all these guys that come out and hype the stuff. James Gunn does it sometimes accidentally. Kevin Feige will do it. Definitely the Russo brothers have been doing it a little bit on this. Like when they said about those other teasers, those weren't really trailers. They were more like clues or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like after everyone was trying to analyze them, they kind of said, we didn't mean that they were specifically clues to anything. We meant like they're more like suggestions of idea. It's like they were trying to say something that they didn't end up really saying. And I think a lot of times that's what happens with these hype words. And so I would believe that critical to the understanding or critical to the setup, that would be, they've hyped shit like that before, and then when you see it, it's really not that. So I don't know. Maybe they're not changing anything about the movie, but if they stick Robert Downey Jr. as Doom into Endgame running around or even anywhere, I don't know. It just feels like it's weird to play with your own history when it's so many people say, oh, they haven't made a good movie since Endgame. It's like, why fuck with that? What about you, Steve? You were kind of, I could hear from your reactions, you seem suspicious of it, but like,
Yeah, I don't love that at all. I feel like in general, the idea of honestly, like there's just the changing stuff at all. When movies get re-released, and I don't know, music is maybe a little different, or like when something gets remastered, or those kinds of things. I don't really mind. I clearly don't mind as much because that's the original movie
yeah.
or the original song or whatever.
You mean when they just like upscale it or
Yeah,
rescan it to make it a higher res or whatever?
Exactly. They rescan it, and they just kind of restore it to a better, or they upscale it to a better quality or whatever's happening there. But yeah, I just feel like in general, that idea of, you know, especially with something like Endgame, or honestly like thinking about Star Wars, or like, how they go in and change little things, like even in ET when that came back out, like,
Yeah.
like replacing I don't know. I don't really like that. I don't really like tinkering
No.
with it to make it more modern, or to make it more, I don't know, like just to filling gaps of the story that are connecting to more current entries in the franchise or anything like that. Like I don't think that really is necessary. And honestly, it's like the time being spent doing that is more, I feel like in most cases, destructive than productive. And it's like put that effort into the thing that's coming next that you're actually trying to sell. Like something like Doomsday or whatever, whatever's they have coming up. It's just like put it back in theaters, let it make a lot more money. Let it remind people why we loved, the end of the Infinity Saga, and and specifically loved Endgame or Infinity War. Like it's a good reminder for them of like what it looked like when they were at their peak, before this other movie comes out a couple months later. It's like I think it's a good refresher, but not with the motivation, if that's the case, even to add a bunch of stuff, or to like add a stinger on to the end of it that, kind of leads into Doomsday, which I could see them totally doing something like that.
Yeah.
Like that would, I don't know. It just is not. I just don't think that's like necessary at all.
Right. The idea of
Silly.
releasing Endgame back into theaters felt like kind of a smart move because they are trying to say this movie connects to that. But to say that our connecting to it is going to involve altering that movie, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we've
100%.
It's just a weird.
It just doesn't seem necessary,
right?
Like, at all.
Right, exactly. It doesn't seem necessary, and it seems like it could be, in the end, another thing that, like what you were saying, Ronald, too. Like, it creates confusion. It kind of damages the
right.
It doesn't like damage the legacy of anything that important, but it is sort of like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's a weird
just
decision.
let some huge success like that kind of sit on its own and stand alone. But I mean, as we're talking about this, I'm thinking about where do I stand then on director's cuts or when they re-edit a movie, and I feel like that too is somehow different because you're creating a distinct version.
And you call it that.
Scott, right? When Ridley Scott re-edits Blade Runner every year, he calls it something different. You know, the ultimate edition, the best edition, the only edition.
Are those things actually like altering what was shot?
I know, and I do think that's the
distinction. Yeah,
I do think that's a difference.
Yeah,
I think there's still a point where you say. I was just talking to a fellow creative the other day, a musician that I talked to at school, and we were talking about that thing of like walking away from something,
right?
And like how you understand the temptation to go back, back to the gallery and work on your painting that's hanging there already. But you also, I think sometimes you benefit in life from walking away from something and like accepting it as what it was when you did it the way you did it.
Right.
And again, remastering or making something a nicer resolution or a better format for like that's not what we're talking about. That can be done poorly. And in fact, some of those I've seen some of those Jim Cameron, I call him James Cameron movies that have been remastered. Like there is some weird digital looking, like there's some places where it's overly smoothed out. He takes too much grain out or something, and you go, all right, if that's really what you wanted to see all this time. But no, so it's not like it's always done well, and sometimes the technology is not really as far along as they want it to be. But it's still different than saying like, we're going to stick scenes in the middle of this movie, and we're going to, again, I mean, changing anything about the context of that movie feels dangerous to the whole, whatever integrity that project has. But am I going to go see this re-release? I probably will. I mean, that sounds kind of exciting to go see that on the big screen again.
And that's the thing is like, yes, I will go see it, but I'm going to go see it for the reasons that we've kind of said that feels okay, which is that like I want the reminder of what it was at its peak.
Yeah.
I want the reminder of like what I have to possibly look forward to, because the last 5-6 years have not felt anything like that, with the exception of maybe Spider-Man, but like it just feels like that would be the chaser of that kind of re-release, which is obviously a part of their motivation, but otherwise that's what I'm looking for is that not anything really. Not really anything else, basically, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what it looks like. But yes, for sure, I will. I will absolutely go see this. There's no question, right?
It's very much the conversation I had with my son earlier about that, where it's like he was like, we both talked about, that feels funny, that feels a little weird, or kind of he feels like it sounds kind of sweaty that they're doing that, and but then we were both like, but I'll go. I'm going to go see it.
We can go check it out. We can go check it out.
I mean, you could just talk him into watching those movies, pretty much any of the Avengers movies. I think he'd be open to it. He's got critical faculties in place about the overall franchise, but he's got some that he just thinks of as like, rewatchable, and I think he would watch those at almost any time. But he watches so much of every kind of different kind of movie. Sometimes I'm shocked at what I'll go in there and see that he's watching, or he'll say, "Oh, Dad, I watched," and it'll be some super extreme, hard R film, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, okay, cool," and you just picture it's like, "So my little boy watched that, huh?"
That's where I'm at right now. Yeah,
he can still dig a superhero movie when it's done right.
That's awesome.
Well, if you guys any other news, or should we move on to trailers? I feel like there was some interesting
trailer.
Trailers, man.
Well, let's stay in comic books, but move to the other side of the fence, I guess, other side of the street. Over on DC, they released a teaser for Clayface. That did you guys see this?
Yes.
I thought it looks really like
It does.
I feel like what it shows me is James Gunn meant it when he said he's going to try to let movies have their own tone. We don't know anything about this movie yet, but it looks like legit body horror, and even it looks like it's got a bit of style to it. Like, I don't know, I was very encouraged by that trailer. I mean, like, I can believe now that it will be like a weird tragic story, and also I think, you know, again, not knowing much about what they're doing with it, but people have said, like, how can you have a Clayface movie when you don't have a Batman yet? But I think this trailer shows me how you can totally do a sort of an origin for this character, and it'll feel just like a body horror
Yeah.
story. But yeah, so what did you guys think?
Agreed 100%. Like the idea that, yeah, that they could let these movies kind of sink even further into the genre than maybe some of the Marvel films that, you know, how Marvel kind of like they had their kinds of genre or the kind
Yeah,
of movie that they kind of started really settling in when they each came out. You
they
know,
paid
for
lip service to it. Oftentimes, the
exactly,
movie itself would feel like the house style.
exactly. It would still kind of stay in a line or in that lane, but yeah, if there's going to be an instance of, you know, a movie like this being able to come out and be you know, an R-rated body horror film, like, and they're gonna and they let that happen because again, like if these things are made responsibly, that's the other part of it, like that Gunn seems to try to focus on, especially with some of the not Batman, Superman stuff, or maybe Supergirl even. But I think like if a movie like this is made and it's made for, I don't know what the budget of this was, but I know it was a lot less from what
Oh
they had
yeah, yeah. I
said.
mean, I heard something pretty low for this. I wonder what the budget is.
I want to say I heard like in like the 30 to 50 or
I was about to say I
somewhere.
heard like 40,000,
Yeah.
40,000, 40
Yeah.
million.
Yeah, I was gonna say 40, but it's somewhere in that range. So I mean like that gives this film a really good chance at being very successful. Like if it's good, you know,
Yeah,
like
40 to 45 million is what it
it's
says.
crazy. Like that's
And so,
great.
right, if this movie hits on a big weekend and has a good weekend,
Yes.
it it could make its budget,
It can make its budget back.
and if it has like a comic book sized good weekend, it could make twice its budget in a long weekend or something, you
That's
know. Or
wild.
so it's like yeah, you just don't know. And so making it for, yeah, I think it's the lower price point
It
that
is
really makes this feel
100%.
like a smart move, because that 40 million, 40 to 45 is a pretty good budget for a body horror movie. It's not necessarily a good budget for a superhero epic, but if you keep it small and if the story, again, it's a Mike Flanagan script, or at least a
I was gonna
Flanagan
say.
treatment slash script,
Yeah.
and I just feel like we know he can make the emotions of a horror scenario hurt. And yeah, no, I like, I was already really interested, but the trailer really had me hooked. The vibe and everything.
And it's such a smart approach, like, you know, to even try to get some of these characters introduced. Like they don't need to all be $100 million, $150 million movie
No.
when they're like, you know, the darker side of the IP that this, you know, that the comics of DC can offer. But it's a good way to introduce a character that could pop up later in something. And you know, especially, yeah, you mentioned Mike Flanagan. Obviously, we love Mike Flanagan. So I mean, his involvement definitely makes me feel a certain way to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, but the teaser is really good. And you know, I dig the vibe, the mood it has, even the actor they have cast to play Clayface, I think it looks like great casting.
Yeah,
Um,
because I don't have a lot of associations with him, but he fits the bill of like what we're
yeah,
supposed to see as like a pretty boy actor
actor, yep.
Yeah.
that then has like some kind of horrible accident. So
Yeah. So I mean
The
the teaser's great. It looks good.
the body horror reminds me, it's just so weird that I'm saying this. Fantastic Four, the first the Michael B. Jordan one.
oh, the body horror,
The
the one that
body
was
horror
supposed to
one.
be a body horror Fantastic Four, and then they kind of watered that down. You know what it
Yeah.
reminds
Right.
me of is
Right.
Darkman.
Oh
Just some of
yeah, it
the
does have some
imagery.
Darkman
Yeah,
elements to it. Um
For
but you're
sure.
right.
Yeah.
There's some of that. There's a little bit of that. What was that movie called? Was it just called Fantastic Four?
yeah.
Yeah.
What a What a weird
You're
movie
like,
that was,
ooh,
because it's
what
not
a
like it was a 100% down. It wasn't a total misfire from the beginning to the end. You
yeah.
could, but it's like it was not allowed to be a more interesting weird movie, but it wasn't successfully made into like a mainstream movie either. So it was just a very, you know,
Yeah.
an attempt, I think, to sort of like hire an interesting director and then try to get him to make a really basic movie, and No one was happy.
Yeah.
Um, well, another trailer. I feel like this is an exciting thing to finally see after all the drama of what was
Oh
going to
man,
happen with Coyote versus
Finally.
Acme. The
long time
trailer
coming, man.
finally came out, and I think that like the reactions I've seen are everywhere from people saying, "Okay, I'm in. I get it. I want to see this," and then other
Yeah.
people even who are saying, "Even if I don't think this looks great." It looks so much like a movie that should come out. Why has this movie been kicked around and held in limbo all this time? I think it looks really fun. I think the concept is very
It's so
funny.
good. It's
And I
such a
think
great
it's
concept.
also a really well done trailer. I think there's,
Mm.
it's just a well edited trailer.
Yeah.
And it really sells the concept, sells me some comedy, gives me some. I love those characters. I love Will Forte. Um, I like that it feels like another way into this IP that they, they do it with Space Jam, they do it with different things.
Yeah.
I like that this is like a different way into the WB, the cartoon treasure trove of characters and stuff. Yeah, I'm totally
100%.
sold on this movie. It looks super fun to me.
Yeah. The marketing seems to be poking fun at Warner Brothers too. It's like a
Yeah,
lot of like Acme is Warner Brothers the way they keep kind of pushing it. I think it's
Right.
really cool, man. Like I mean not like you were saying, like why didn't this movie come out? Like it looks like it could do really well. It's such a fun concept. And it looks like a very good mix of, you know how I feel about the newer Chip and Dale live action movie, man. Like the combination of live action and animation done well looks
hmm
incredible. And this just feels like just well done, man. Will Forte, John Cena,
Well,
and
those characters seem funny because they both have a case. Like
yeah.
the, I want to be sympathetic to Wile E. Coyote. I always have, but it's true. Even though John Cena seems like he might be the heavy of the movie, it's
Yeah.
true that he hoists himself on his own petard so much that you can't really say it's the products necessarily. But
Mhm.
the premise, and if people don't know what the premise is, the premise that Acme is going to have like a lawsuit against him for all these faulty products from the Coyote, it's just such a funny. I mean,
It's
it's a
genius.
great. It's a
It
great
really
way
is so
to.
smart.
It's a great way to
Yeah.
modernize that character. Is to say that like he would, in our litigious world, he probably would be looking for like, how can I get mine from this company. But then the fact that they've got this lawyer, that John Cena is like the corporate lawyer that's taking that on, and I don't know how that's going to go in the film. Wow, Ronald, that was a dramatic zoom into your blurry
Your,
background.
your your art on the back couch or
Um,
something.
but
Oh
yeah,
shit.
it just feels like something that I mean I'm sure that someday we could understand exactly why this movie was viewed as like not what people wanted to see or something, but it feels like the kind of thing that people respond to. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like this has only helped this movie's reputation in a strange way that it's gotten this, it got rescued because now people are looking at the trailer going, what's the problem?
Right,
I mean,
right.
100%. Like, yeah, I think I guess it is one of the silver linings of like social media and like the internet and, what it offers to kind of like, people that want to make their voice heard. It's a good use of that, people coming out and all the petitions and filmmakers and, people that work
Yeah.
with Warner Brothers coming out and saying stuff about that decision, like I think being able to see that publicly that's a good scenario for a movie like this yeah, like there's no real reason why this movie should not be released. You know what I mean? Like that
Right.
teaser's great or the trailer's great. The concept is great. The concept that like this movie would be used as a tax write-off is just laughable.
Yeah.
Like the lack of confidence is just so silly to me. So I'm very happy, to see that it's going to come out. So I can't wait to watch it. Any other trailers?
Let me see. I feel like there was something else. Oh well, I did not think. Not no real surprise, I guess. But I did not think Fokker in Law looked very good at all.
I
You
didn't see that yet.
know, you know, I think all three of those films or that have come out like to some varying degree have been pretty successful as movies and as box office. I mean, like, they're not for everybody for sure, but I
I
think
really liked the first one. I
yeah.
really thought the first one was funny.
I like the first two. Third one is kind of, whatever for me, but I don't I think this movie is going to be big.
I think it's going to be big,
I
but I
hope
just
it's going
feel
to be
like
big.
it just feels like Ben Stiller is there's something strange about seeing him play this. Like I don't know if I'm quite buying this character. I don't know. Maybe the trailer was selling a very broad version of what his character's like, but it
Right,
feels like a strange angle to take. But it just felt
right.
very creaky to me. But yeah, I'm sure the movie has to be funnier and better than that trailer. I guess would be my
Yeah, and that's
my
kind of how
take.
I feel. Like the trailer's not great, but I feel like I think the movie's going to be pretty funny. I honestly do.
Well,
Um,
well, this is nothing against Ariana Grande. I can't
I
even
think
say
she's
that.
a great addition to it.
Right? It's
Honestly,
like it doesn't hurt the concept at all that she's in it. It's just it's the overall something about it. It's like it has that like overlit comedy syndrome of just looking completely. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
hope I'm
honestly,
wrong.
it's like just the fact that there's a comedy coming out with a huge release like
I
that.
know, and I shouldn't
It's
be
like
like, yeah,
you have valid points, but I think at the end of the day, it's like, you know what? They're putting a huge comedy out in theaters. Let's let it roll. You know what I mean? Like and they're probably confident because it's existing IP, but even still, we like can't really go to the movies to see comedies very much. So
yeah.
I can't wait to see that with a crowd and laugh in
I
a movie theater.
I saw someone on Threads who shared like a link to the trailer and says, this name, Fokker, it's a little too close to another word that I shan't say." um, but I anticipate they might have some problems with marketing this film for this reason. I'm to understand it's a character's name, so that could be a problem, like, and it was crazy how many
Yeah.
people responded to this guy like he was serious.
Oh my God.
And it's just like when people try to dunk on somebody,
Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
they don't realize they're the ones that are like missing an obvious joke. It was like tons of responses that
Oh
were
my
very much
God,
like,
dude.
"Oh, I guess we just met someone who was born yesterday," all this stuff, and then the occasional person saying, "I can't believe people are falling for this." Um, but no, yeah, I mean, I remember the first one was like a movie I think I owned it, like I
Yeah.
think went out and bought the DVD and we watched it a lot. So I have nothing against the, um, could you milk me, Greg? All that
Oh,
stuff. It's
fucking
very solid for me. I really like
some
that
of it
first one.
really is good.
The pointing at the eyes and pointing at the person. It's like I feel like that movie is what crystallized that for
Yeah,
everybody in the world that does
I
that.
think you're right.
Um, so. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, the Devil in Silver trailer. I'd mentioned a while back. I think that an author I like, Victor LaValle, his book Devil in Silver is being adapted as the third season of The Terror on
Yes.
AMC, and they just released a long like an opening the cold open of the show as like a 5-minute scene. They released that promotionally,
Oh,
and they also
nice.
released like a 2-minute trailer, and it just looks really good. I mean, it's good, great cast, and Ronald's shocked. He's so shocked.
Like not as good as that
Cameras-
painting.
I want to hear it like sounds when the cameras. But yeah, unless we have any other news or trailers, we can move on to Ronald. You can tell us a little bit about Michael.
Mikael,
Mikael.
Mikael Jason.
Jackson.
Now,
Jackson.
so biopics, what a controversial subject, right? Because I think what people want is like, am I learning something new from this biopic? There seems to be like this two groups of people. They're like, I don't want to hear the beats. I don't want to see the beats of this person's life that I've seen already.
Hmm.
Um, and then people want to see the hits.
Yeah.
And then some people want something big and some big exploration of a type of exploration of a character that we've never seen before. And based on the Rotten Tomatoes score, I think they didn't want people to play the hits. The issue is we're at a time where if you have a artist from maybe the 70s or 80s, there aren't 4K copies of things that people can see necessarily. There's upscales and stuff like that, but it's not the same. It's not the
No, it's
same
not.
as say like, current artists that are performing now. So that's one thing. Then there's the elephant in the room, the controversy with Michael Jackson's life and his troubles that were essentially taken out of the movie and for various reasons. One of which was there was a clause in the contract of the gentleman that sued that said that there cannot be any mention of
Like
anything.
he couldn't be represented or
Yeah,
referred to in
and
any like biological biographical works.
biopic, audio,
Yeah.
anything essentially, which I understand. Um, I kind of got, I really just wanted to come into this film and see the spectacle of it because I think that what I'm starting to realize, especially as we were in this theater with a younger crowd, is a mix. It's people of all races, sizes, ages. There seems to be a gap in people's understanding of how big of an impact Michael Jackson had in general. Because when we say, "Oh man, people were falling out when they saw him," that doesn't make any sense to people. Like, I mean, I guess there's a couple stars that make people do that. Taylor Swift comes to mind.
Sure.
Kanye West comes to mind. There's a couple people. There's a couple rock stars that come to mind. But he really was a special kind of musician. I remember when I was a kid, just the Fox interruptions. Like you'd watch Simpsons in living color, and then a goddamn music video would appear for the world, and it was a captive audience. Um, this movie doesn't reinvent the wheel in any way, shape, or form. It is a biopic in the very basic sense,
Mm-hmm.
but what it really does is assure a group of people that may not be familiar, because this isn't for us. I don't know if this is for people that saw him in action. This is for people who have not seen this man in the spectacle that he existed in back then. And if that's what the case is, if this is who this is for, people that don't know Joe Jackson, that don't know that he abused them, that don't know that like what he put them through to create these stars. Um, this is a perfect movie for people that want to learn about these things that don't know about them firsthand. Because we were witness to it, and I'd say the closest thing to something that was accurate to me. I mean the Jacksons uh, miniseries that existed in the '90s,
Mm-hmm.
which was incredible.
Yeah, I think I remember
Jason
seeing that.
Jason Weaver played a young Michael Jackson, and it was a special sort of thing. But this Jafar and the younger gentleman that plays him, I think his name is Julio or something like that. Uh, man, I've never seen anything like this before. Their parts. So I think that what they're going for physically with Jafar is essentially the spirit of Michael Jackson. Like he looks very much like him, but there are some differences. This guy on a very basic level is a little more of a, I don't know how to say this. He's a little more of a pretty boy than Michael Jackson. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a lot more manicured, and Michael Jackson was manicured. Believe it, this man is more manicured. I don't even know how that's even humanly possible that a human could be more manicured than Michael Jackson, especially after a certain point in his career. But there are scenes, I'd say like the Motown 25 or the way they shot Thriller, or where this guy is very apparent that this guy is doing this himself. It's the vocals, the gestures, the voice. Um, it is a real treat to see this on screen. And the struggle is simple. He's trying to get from under the wing of his father. I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand. Like it's a very simple premise that is very complicated in scope because, I guess you can see the situation. It's like, it's Michael Jackson. He's the most famous person in the world. How could he not get from under the arm of Joe Jackson, this
Yeah.
little man with makeup on his face and sharp eyebrows and stuff like that? But the effect that he has on him is very clear. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm your father. You really need to look out for your brothers. And anytime you question that, do you not love your brothers? Do you not want us to make money? Do you not?
I'm feeling like you've got to have a good Coleman Domingo in you, Ronald,
Uh,
because you've got the deep voice for it.
I gotta try that.
I
Uh,
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
no, 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 no. Hey, I love the way he says, Michael, Michael, Michael. You love these boys. You let them perform. Do you love them? If you don't love them, goddamn it, you better do something about it. That's essentially his voice the whole movie. Uh,
One
uh,
day I'm gonna find you on Cameo, and I'm gonna ask you to have a conversation between Ryan Coogler and Coleman Domingo. Okay, well, a couple of questions I have
Sure,
about it,
sure, please.
because it's like, to me, the biggest question. I mean, the obvious question you kind of addressed already. It is strange to, and people can make all kind of crazy analogies. I mean, the analogy I saw was it'd be like doing the story of O.J. Simpson and then stopping at when Naked Gun 3 comes out.
Right,
It's like,
right.
it is weird to do the story of Michael Jackson and not nod to his scandal. However, it's odd in this kind of biopic to include, like, there are biopics that are not warts and all biopics, and the choice to make a not warts and all movie about a famous person
Right,
is a
right.
choice a lot of times people make. But I don't
Yeah.
think that I think that it has to do with the severity of what people think he's guilty of,
Yes,
that make
yes,
it a
yes.
strange choice to leave it out of a story of his life. I like
Yeah.
what you said about this is almost like a tribute concert reel of his life, so that people can understand why people would give a shit about this
Yeah,
guy
yeah, yeah.
who was a creep. But it's like Michael Jackson was like one of our most famous geniuses, but also like kind of one of our most famous weirdos or something. Like,
Yeah.
he was,
Yeah.
like a guy who we just thought was like all that stuff about he didn't really have a childhood, and people use that to explain so much, from
Yeah,
the
for sure.
darkest shit to the just most whimsical shit that he represented. So I feel like somewhere in there's an interesting movie to be made that's a true portrait of this guy.
Right, right.
But it's not that surprising that us. I mean, it's, what's the word for it? Is it a hagiography or hagiography? How do you say
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
word? When it's a biography that's like basically designed to burnish the reputation of somebody.
Yes,
That
yes,
happens
yes.
all the time. It's just weird when it's like there's friction when the thing that they're leaving out is a thing that most people think of almost first when they think of him, or a lot of people
Right,
think
right.
of first. I do like this idea, though, of reminding people who may not know why we ever cared.
Yes, yes.
And so I don't know. I'm not that surprised that the movie is doing what it's doing, but I guess the question I have from this is it at all strange seeing, you kind of have addressed how the performance is really good, but is it at all strange seeing like a reenactment of this person who we know so well, or whose every move was examined and we'd seen it so clearly? Like, does it feel a little removed from the reality of it, not just because they're kind of whitewashing the story, but because there's no other Michael Jackson. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like, is
yeah.
it all weird watching someone pretend to be someone who's very singular and very
Yeah.
unique?
There are parts where, yes, at first, but once he gets into the role, I'm telling you, there's a point where it feels almost like a documentary. Like, it almost feels like over the shoulder sort of, okay, he's trying to break free from this whole thing with his family, and he wants to separate from the Jackson 5. And I guess here, this has always been my issue, right? There are things that have captured the other portion, right? And they exist. They have not gone anywhere. You can still see them. And there's a lot of figures that things have like, okay, so I'll give you an example. Uh for all intent and purposes, Elvis has stolen a great deal
Oh,
of who he is
yeah.
from Black culture, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That is his story. That is, and for a lot of us, an omission that exists, right? But if you
Yeah.
watch that movie, there's a scene where he's in a juke joint. He's like, "This is really cool," and that's it.
Mama baby.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that like you gotta tackle it the same way that you would sexual assault things, but like omission is omission,
Right.
and to me, I think that like there's a place where you can watch something that addresses that for this artist. Like there are documentaries that address the omission of what
Yes.
Elvis did. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's sources that you can absolutely go to look at that. And I don't think it's every piece of art to necessarily put that in there. They do address the whole Neverland obsession with kids. There are very clear things that indicate that he communicates better with kids because he there's a simplicity to it. It's like a kid isn't trying to take everything from you the way that an
Right.
adult is trying to figure out like what can I get from Michael
What's
Jackson
their
in this?
way in? Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that. There's a very clear indication that his adult interactions, he finds people that he can trust, and then everybody else is sort of predatory to him. He says it even as a kid, and
Hmm.
as in the Jackson Five, he's like, I can't really talk to people because they want to take pictures, they want to take things from me, they want to, So he finds his group. He thought he could find it in his family a little bit, like which was kind of a thing as well.
Hmm.
Um, and that is the heart of the story. If you wanted more from that, then I don't. I mean, it's a big conflict and a big resolution. The
Hmm.
problem is the resolution happens bad.
Yeah.
That's it. You get this hee hee. It's like I'm bad. Then it's like, and the legacy continues. Then you're like, oh, that's the end of the movie. Like the conflict, everything that happens with Joe, the Jackson Five, the Victory Tour, all that stuff, and then Michael Jackson is like himself and the bad stage. You see him in all his glory. He jumps up and down, and it's like the legacy continues, and then the credits roll. That feels a little unfair to me, but also don't know how much this extra movie would have explained this stuff with the
It feels like a different movie. I mean, it just feels
yes.
like totally different set of intentions to say we're going to present the the underbelly of
Yeah,
this than to
yes.
say like, I mean, and again, it keeps bumping up against that question of like, well, then do you make a movie like this about Michael Jackson, knowing what we know or knowing what we think we know? And it's like, I guess that's the that's the question of Michael Jackson, because I know people that say I can't listen to him anymore, and I know people that say no one's going to take my favorite album or whatever from me. Like there's people that say, I mean, it's that whole thing of separating the art from the artist. This is just a
Yeah,
very like this puts a really fine point on that very idea
100%.
of like
Yeah.
here's a person who was so out on his own limb doing his own thing and being so, like I said, someone that there's never been another person like that I can think of.
Yeah.
A lot of imitators, but not anyone else really like him. I mean,
No.
obviously Corey Feldman is almost exactly like him, but other than that,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
there's just something. I mean, I can't pretend that even with my misgivings about the guy, that I don't. There's something fascinating about Michael Jackson. I remember
Yeah.
when we watched that documentary about the making of We Are the World. One of the things that we
Also,
talked about was just how like magical Michael Jackson is in that, and
yes.
it's like, so it's like it's clear why people. I'm repeating myself, but it's clear why people give a shit, because
Yeah.
otherwise his scandals would have him be someone who you just don't give a shit about,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
like that's not to leverage anything about the human pain versus the value of art or anything. It's really just that question of, do you really throw the baby out with the bathwater when somebody does something like this. And I think it's a question there's no answer for that feels comfortable, and it will continue to wrestle with it with anybody like this whose work is renowned this much and who then seems like maybe, guilty of something really heinous.
Yeah.
Or even if you are one of the people that believes that he's not guilty, which I know there are some people that do, it's like it's one of the things you think of when you think of him now, and I think
Yeah.
that's like the damage is done in that sense.
Yeah.
But you still hear his songs on the radio, and
Yeah, for sure.
people still, I mean, worship is a strong word, but he is one of those stars who achieved that level of fandom, like supreme fandom. So
There are some explorations of some things that maybe people didn't know. Beat It being one of them. I don't know if you know, like, if you will look at the video, they're clearly people with like gang outfits on, right?
right.
There's always been this street tale of like Michael met up with Bloods and Crips. They fleshed that thing out. Okay, this is another thing. This is a very LA movie, so this feels like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like the way that LA is its own character in there.
Does
It
he beat
really
up
makes
Bruce Lee at some point?
yeah, that'd be amazing. Or E.T. I wanted him to meet E.T. so bad. Anyway,
It could be a scene just like the Bruce Lee scene, except it's E.T. and it's Michael Jackson saying, "I can beat up E.T."
I'll beat you up. Let's make peace over Pepsi. There's a
Don't be
very
ignorant.
don't be ignorant. He's watching TV and Bloods and Crips are just annihilating each other. And then he wants to bring them together. Beat It is, I mean, I've heard this story through gang members kind of saying like he got the toughest Bloods, the toughest Crips to meet up in a room and talk about getting together. And he could find some ones that had a little bit of dancing skills and put them in the video together. And that was his version of working things out in his, in the world that he knows, in the best way that he knew possible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of care to, dying kids and stuff like that. There's a lot of that, I think that sometimes it's very hard to humanize people once you've heard these things happen, or the accusations. And, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I threw Michael Jackson away, for a really long time. And, as the stuff disappears and people say that things didn't happen, and the strangeness of all of that alone is very frightening. I don't know how much money's being thrown at people. I don't know how this is happening the way, like how people can come forward with very vivid, terrible stories and then years later say, oh man, that story that I said about his penis and all that stuff? Not true. I just what this is very hard for me as a person to process. So I don't know what's real, what's fake. But what I do know is he made a musical impact. I don't know about the facts of it. I don't know about because it keeps disappearing and reappearing, and that is a strange thing. A lot of the times when somebody makes an accusation, it sticks and it's around. But this is the strangest disappearing acts, reappearing thing that I've ever seen with accusations as far as sexual and physical abuse. And I don't know who's telling the truth. I really don't. But I know that I'm always going to put victims first. I mean, that's the way that my brain works. Um, but if they keep disappearing, I don't know what the fuck to do. It's a strange. And
Yeah.
I think that a lot of us are conflicted in that way. I think a lot of us feel that way because I could tell when people were asking me, they know how I felt about the couple of documentaries that have come out, and we talked about how disgusting the accusations are and how I feel about it. And that part I could talk about for hours.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say though is I paid close attention to the attention that some celebrities get as it pertains to abuse versus the way that some celebrities aren't highlighted quite as much or treated the same way. And I don't know what that means. I don't, I'm not trying to come up with some damning statement about, but there's a character, there's a connection to Michael Jackson's character, his misdoings, and his strange behavior that makes it very easy to make him the fall man, even if it's, some of this stuff may not be true.
Mm.
Um, and it's hard to ignore hanging kids out of windows with
Or
blankets over their
over the
faces,
balcony, you mean?
over
Yeah.
balconies, and
Yeah, so weird.
strange, man. Strange fake kisses on stage. It's like he's a character, man. I don't, and I'm conflicted. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm conflicted. But what I'll say to you is, if you're coming in this movie to watch the spectacle of Michael Jackson, this thing delivers. I cannot believe this thing is at a 28%. I think that
I was gonna ask you that, like that the Rotten Tomato number.
it's like, come on, man. Like, I've seen way worse movies. I don't know why this is a thing. Why it's like, what I'm very curious to see is what the audience score is going to be. And critics can just be assholes about stuff, and tackle this whole
I
thing.
don't know. I feel like that's a little too easy. I think that like critics aren't necessarily more right about movies than anyone else, but I don't think they all band together to be. I mean, if you like a critic or if you follow a critic, you'll see they wrestle with things. I don't think
Oh
it's just
yeah,
like being
yeah,
assholes. I think that what you've just talked about is like if you're going to critique the movie, it's based on its intentions. It's a fair thing to say this movie is about a man and it leaves out a huge thing about this man. I mean, it's like it's an
oh
attempt
yeah,
to
for sure.
sanitize. But I was surprised at that number. I mean, honestly, even expecting this movie to divide people, I thought that it would be more of I don't know. I thought it would be more mixed than
Yeah,
that. That 28 on Rotten
come on.
Tomatoes.
Yeah,
That's
it's
because from what you're saying, it's like the quality of the movie making warrants more than that. Even if it's
yes,
like if it's chasing an idea that is like questionable. But I
and
think
it's
there's a lot of
incomplete.
movies that are like that too.
It's
Yeah,
clearly incomplete. Like it's a
yeah.
very you're watching this and you at the end you're like, this is not a complete story. This is
Well, there's supposed
clearly
to be like a part two, right? Like, isn't there supposed to be?
supposedly, yeah.
Like I see Nia Long and them talking about that in some of these interviews.
Well,
Boy.
hee
I hope that you came out of this review more confused than when you came
yeah, I
in.
was about to say, if anybody was listening, trying to decide whether they should see this movie, I'm sure at this point they they don't know more than they did.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, does that mean I should go see it?
But yeah, but I mean, again, when you talk about the spectacle and stuff, it's like I do think there's something about it that I found it intriguing on some primal level, just because I grew up in the era of Michael Jackson. So,
Right.
like when that I mean, I remember when Thriller was the album, like the biggest album, and everyone. It was one of the albums that everyone had.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I feel like I want to check this out in theaters just for the spectacle part.
Yeah.
Feel kind of mixed on the movie overall. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
whatever. Like I love Michael Jackson. I mean, like, his music, like it's a very weird conversation.
It is.
And unfortunately, it has been for a long time. But to your points earlier, like the impact and just the kind of the mega of it all that was Michael Jackson growing up, it's a pretty fundamental and like foundational part of like a lot of the music I like. So it's like it makes it interesting for me to see it. But I've been thinking about this a lot recently with like these documentary or these biopics. It's like a part of me would I think in reality he's the example that your point earlier was great in that like the spectacle of what Michael Jackson was might entice me enough to want to like see a biopic about about him,
Mm,
or if there was something very special or unique about a character, or a singer, songwriter, band, whatever. But I feel like I've gone very cold on a lot of the biopics.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in the last decade, I don't know that I've like genuinely like really loved any of them. I'm
mm.
struggling to think of one right now, but that was like a real biopic, not just like about a moment in a band's like I think of what is it called? Love and Mercy was one that I think about
It was
like
so good.
the
Yeah.
Beach Boys one, but that was more of a moment and like a character, like specifically about Brian and not so much the band. Um, but yeah, I just have this feeling of like cooling pretty significantly on all these biopics and the spectacle of Jackson in a theater and to feel that like on these recreations would be pretty cool, I think. But a part of me would rather just see a really great documentary about these bands,
Hmm.
about these artists, about these singers, songwriters, whatever it might be. It's like the biopicification of all of it is just like not as interesting to me anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
honestly, Steve, that's a huge thing for me too. I don't typically watch biopics just for that reason. Like, they are sort of they are sort of a template, and
Yeah.
like it almost doesn't matter how well done it is or how great the casting is or whatever. The as a movie, it doesn't usually offer that much to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's where I'm at. Like I feel like I was watching the trailers for it. It's like, wow, that looks interesting. Like, yeah, it's crazy how much he kind of looks like Michael and there's all the other stuff about like the Michael stuff like that, the estate and like the things that Ronald mentioned earlier about like, how quote unquote real is this going to be or is it
Yeah,
more of just like a fan servicey like,
yeah.
hagiography kind of approach to it, which, that it can work too and it can still be entertaining, I guess,
Yeah.
but
Janet Jackson is not in the movie for people wondering.
oh,
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, so she just refused. The whole family wanted to be in it except for her. So there's like that's kind of weird. So there's Latoya in it, clearly very prominent, and
Mm.
then no Janet. So like even as you watch them practicing in the house, you see Latoya kind of walking around and no Janet. So it's strange.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing that makes it odd that it's like we're telling the story, but we're not really. We can't really. We can't have the sister in it,
Yeah.
and we can't talk about the scandal. Um. So what's your on our scale of go ahead, wait for it, hold up? I believe
Your
this is
head for sure. I mean, it's a theatrical like it needs to be seen in a theater. Like it is the sound. I mean, that's another thing. The sound design is really cool. Like there's a lot of isolation of vocals and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
Where people trying to process his singing voice, there's a lot of like you can hear the beat, they're like, hold on, what the fuck? And they'll turn down the instrumental and you can just hear this a cappella of him singing. And this happens a couple scenes. And I guess the device to use it is like they're on the boards kind of showing you how this works in terms of like the layers of the vocals, the layers of the music.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few times where somebody's like, whoa, 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 I've never heard it sang like this before. And I'll turn it down and like you can hear what makes anybody, Michael Jackson or anybody trying to imitate Michael Jackson, what makes his vocals so special is just that it's just really unique. Like it's something you kind of have to see and hear to believe.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know, man. Go ahead. If you are worried about that he has a weird case, wait, but I would if you're up for it, go see it in the theater. If you're against the fence and you feel strange about um some of his misgivings, I would respect the decision to not go see it. I
Yeah.
think it's okay. I don't have to tell you this, but know that. I think because there's this big conflict that exists amongst people where they're like, I loved his music, and you know, quite a bit's changed in the last couple decades, and you know, it's okay if you don't see it, but if you're up for it, if you're comfortable with it, um, it's a nice watch, albeit a very sanitized watch. But it doesn't sanitize everything. Like that's the thing. Like I think people are saying sanitize like it doesn't get into the mud of some of what makes him who he is or what made him who he is. Um, Random Prince diss that comes in the middle of the movie, what kind of made me do the Arthur fistball. Because I know that they really were just opposed forces, and here one of the funniest things in the world for you guys that maybe have never seen it. Michael Jackson wanted Prince to be in the Bad video. Uh, and listening to Prince saying, "You're not gonna say your butt is mine to me," is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. He said, "Whose butt is his?" He's not gonna say that to me. It's like that's Prince. I mean, like if to know him is to love that. He listened to that those lyrics with a fine tooth comb. Is like I'm not gonna say that. He's not gonna be pointing at me saying your butt is mine. It's not gonna happen.
Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
But what's funny is Prince probably had his little butt sticking out of his chaps
Yeah.
at that moment.
Yes. Sitting beside Carmen Electra,
Right.
telling her she has to keep her makeup on all night. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah. What a wild. Yeah.
They don't make artists like those guys anymore, Ronald.
They do not. They really don't, man.
Hmm.
Well,
Characters.
well, I have not been out to the theater to see anything, but Steve, you've done a little catching up, or at least you saw a couple things, right? In
Yeah,
the theater.
I mentioned last week that I was trying to like watch a couple. We'll get to Undertone next week for required viewing. But
Mm.
some of the horror films that I didn't really get to catch or I was behind on, so I tried to make an effort to get caught up. And beyond Undertone, I also saw. I finally got to catch Send Help and Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. And I just wanted to say that I thought that both were really fun, and
Mm.
I really liked both of them. Uh, I think that Ready or Not, I think, the addition of Catherine Newton works really well. I think the cast is great. I think seeing Sean Hannity and Sarah Michelle Gellar play like horrible sibling people works really well. Elijah Wood playing the family lawyer, I thought he was great in it. And I just thought the idea around how to expand the mythology of this family or this group, this cult, worshiping the devil or Satan, and uh, how she would get stuck, um, how Grace would be stuck again in a similar scenario this time with her sister Faith. Thought it worked really well. I don't know that it's to the level of the first film, which I loved.
It was such a
Um,
fun movie.
yeah, but I mean, this one is so much fun. Also, the characters chasing or hunting her are ridiculous and just so silly and fun, and pretty awesome. I think a pretty awesome ending in terms of kind of her solution to kind of get herself out of this situation. But
Hmm.
so that was really fun. And yeah, Send Help. Love Rachel McAdams. I really pretty much love everybody involved with this movie. But it's really kind of fun watching well, first off, Sam Raimi going to Sam Raimi,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he Sam Raimi's all over this movie, and I love it, every piece of it. Like watching it, just smiling with my wife, and just be like, oh,
Right.
that's yep, Sam Raimi. That's yep. See right that Aaron, like the zombie staring at the screen, like the nightmare zombie. Yep, Sam Raimi. Like she's like, oh my God. But that was so fun. I thought, excuse me, Dylan O'Brien and Rachel McAdams were great together. And also just her kind of just doing something different, kind of playing against type, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
awesome. Um, and yeah, I thought both were just like really fun, really entertaining horror movies that I wish I would have watched both of them in a theater. But I'm happy to have seen them both, and I definitely would recommend either or if you're looking for some fun horror movies. Both are, excuse me, both are available digitally now. So, um, definitely two go-aheads for me.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I've heard mixed things about Ready or Not Part Two, but like most of the most of the people who've liked it have been pretty convincing. Like, I feel like some people just don't like the heightened whatever they did. They feel like it gets too over the top or something. But
I mean,
I thought that was one of the selling points of it. Just from the trailer, it looks crazy. It looks like they really are ramping up the concept in a way that feels very like, okay, you like that? Well, we're gonna take it up to 11.
I mean
Compared to
that's
the
pretty
first
much
movie.
it. And either that works for you or it doesn't. I guess it doesn't get it doesn't get absurd by any means. I think
Yeah.
it all exists comfortably in this world in terms of like, yeah, just the idea that she pulled the wrong card and it's like they have to try to kill her.
Hmm.
And that story,
Mm,
like this movie literally starts with the last scene of the film. So like it picks up immediately. Like,
Okay, I like that.
where we end with her sitting on the step getting a cigarette. This movie
right.
starts with
Oh wow.
the literal next scene.
That's
Or
crazy.
the next second, literally. And it just jumps right in. Like within the first 5 to 10 minutes, you've got some pretty cool death stuff going on. And um cool cameo or slight, David Cronenberg pops up in the movie, which is really cool.
Hmm.
Um, as like this kind of patriarch of the lead family of this cult. I guess there's a proper term, but I can't remember what they called them. But no, I mean, I just yeah, this is at least a good, very good movie for me. Like it's I didn't love it as much as the first one, only because I guess it's maybe not as fresh, but and maybe missing some of the like character work from the first one, but because there's more people, I guess, involved in terms of like the idea that these families are competing to hunt her to replace a family that's gone in the hierarchy of this
Mm.
cult. So, you've got multiple people, multiple families hunting her. So there's a lot more. And it's like gory as hell and just blood all over the place. It's just yeah, dude, no. I think you would definitely dig it, John. Um,
I'm definitely gonna check it out.
yep, Ready or Not 2. Awesome name. Here I come.
Well, I'll just throw out a couple of television shows that I've been
Yeah,
watching since I haven't
go
been to the
ahead.
theater. I'm really enjoying Mall Shadow Lord over there on Disney Plus. It's
Oh,
really
right, right.
I haven't even I think I mentioned this last time. I
You
haven't really
did.
kept up with like the Star Wars animation stuff, but
Hmm.
this one feels really it's just a cool story and it's picked up a nice little slice of the world to be set in and I don't know if we're going to get like Darth Vader versus Maul in this or anything like that, but they're definitely playing around with kind of like you know the era that it's set in, and you know that like the empire is like getting established in this
Mm.
film. So like
Right.
there's the whole there's a problem on a planet, and there's all this decision making on the cops part of like they're supposed to when they find Maul. One of the things that comes up when they pull his file is it says you've got to contact the Empire if you ever come into contact with this guy, because like Sidious or the Emperor, whoever wants to kill Maul, wants him out of the picture. But like the decision is made not to contact the Empire immediately, and it's like it's nowhere near the sophistication and like the depth of Andor, but it's playing around with that kind of that feeling of like, oh yeah, if you were like a local cop on this planet, bringing
Mm,
in the Empire means a whole different ball of wax that you
Mm.
might not want to bring to your planet.
right, right, right.
I don't know. So there's cool stuff like that in there, and it just feels smart, and it looks really good. I think I'm saying exactly what I said last time. You do have to get past the kind of marionette looking animation sometimes, but this is like a pretty heightened version of that animation, and the action and the scenery and stuff is really beautiful. Also, I have not finished it yet, but I've been enjoying. I've gotten started with Beef season 2 on Netflix,
Oh, nice.
which has been. Have you guys watched that yet?
I
Or
haven't yet. No,
okay,
I
well
plan
maybe
to.
we can watch it and talk about it next time. Um, and the other thing I started watching, and I did not have time to finish the first episode, but I was enjoying it. And I want to say for folks out there listening, you should know that on the 20, what date is it? I believe it's the 29th. So it's next Wednesday. So before our next episode comes out, Widow's Bay will
Oh
debut
yeah.
on Apple TV Plus. But maybe we can talk about that next time because I really enjoyed what I
Yeah.
saw. And yeah, we aren't. Our embargo would be up on the 24th, but since this episode comes out before, actually, the embargo would be up. It's questionable. It's one of those things. I don't know if you've noticed this, Steve. Sometimes the embargo for the show will say one thing, but then on the episodes, it'll
Episodes.
say a later date. So I guess
Yeah.
we go by the
Mm.
later date of the episodes, which would be the 29th, is when they. So
Okay.
that's a week from today is when
So
the
yeah, we'll
embargo's
be able
up.
to talk next week.
So yeah, next week we can talk about it. But
Cool.
yeah, Widow's Bay on Apple TV Plus, which is a horror comedy series that's got a lot of cool folks in it, and it just seems like a fun concept. Did you guys see the trailer for that?
No, not
Yes.
yet.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
this is
really
the one that like when I messaged you, Ron, I was asking you if you could get us access
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
The trailer was like, yeah, awesome.
yeah, and you
Oh,
did,
cool.
and we do have
I love it.
access.
I love it. I can't wait to watch that.
That's all I got.
All right, cool. I think that's an episode. Reminder, next week we're gonna get to the required viewing pick, which again is Undertone. It's available digitally if you want to have a little extra time to watch it with us. We'll talk about that next week. Also, movieschmovie.com is the website. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, you can go there to choose the platform of your choice. You can also listen to all the episodes there. And you can also use YouTube, youtube.com/movie podcast for the audio only, video, full, short, miscellaneous, all kinds of crazy stuff on there. The Home Cut series that Ronald does with Kaleidoscape is on there as well. I know he's got a couple reviews coming up shortly for them that I know he has slotted. So we'll have more episodes for the Home Cut coming out soon. But yeah, just choose one, please. Subscribe, write a review, write a comment, share it, tell someone about it. If everybody that listens told someone about it, we'd have a total of 4 listeners, and we would
Yes.
really appreciate that. Uh, I kid, but you know what I'm saying. Thank you so much for listening, Ronald. I hope your ears are better next week.
Thank you,
John, I
man.
look forward to your introduction with the quote after it for Undertone,
Yes,
and it's probably going to be like just like a sound. I'm assuming like.
I have
You
I
should
had some
pan it,
thoughts.
do
I
some
had some
production
thoughts.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, the expectations are high. I'm just saying. Good to see you both. We'll be back next week with a new episode. As always, thank you for listening. You made our day.
Bye.